the Lakers received tonight, then maybe you'll respect that teammate's stats more. LeBron.
You shooting that thing like my boy Walter Lewis out of L.A.
Out of UCLA, that is, number 5. And guys, we're about to just see a spoiler for anybody that watched. The Lakers lost by 42. It was the biggest loss in LeBron's career.
Listen, I've never been a part of trade rumors, but I'm sure it's hard for these guys to trust the Lakers process anymore, especially when you got to hear about being traded through the media.
Yeah.
It ain't like the Magic and those guys came down and said, Chris, we're going to get rid of you. So, guys heard about it in the media, and so they're probably like, you know what, I ain't playing hard today.
Yeah, and Candace, you and I were in the back talking in the first quarter about.
Okay, Roy Hibbert. Okay, Roy Hibbert.
Roy Hibbert.
Oh, that's not Roy Hibbert?
A.K.A. Turner.
Okay, my bad.
I forgot.
I see you,
Big Roy.
What up, Roy? Where you at?
Miles Turner.
Give me that.
Well, he blocked it like my boy Roy Hibbert used to. Shout out to my boy Roy Hibbert.
In the back, and you were just saying, we were saying together that we wonder what the locker room is like out there in L.A. Like, guys talking to each other. I mean, I know you might have a little insight, not with players, but insight in any locker room. That, what do you think?
Well, I think the toughest thing is if this AD trade doesn't go through, what's the locker room afterwards? I mean, we've seen in this game just the looks on their faces and the coaching staff. It's probably not very positive and very hee-hee-ha-ha in the locker room. It's a tough situation.
And you got young dudes, right? So you got young dudes who've never dealt with this before, and now they have to go through, living in the media, going to the games. Do I pack 5 pairs of drawers for this road trip?
Right.
And we only got 1 day away? I don't know what's going on.
That's Shaq watching the Lakers game. Let me ask you something, BD, while you're saying that. You've been a young guy, vet in this league. You've been in all different levels. What do you think it is for a young guy? Second-year player, number 2 pick, Brandon Ingram going to the line, and you hear the crowd. I mean, we've heard everything, so we know guys are strong mentally, but in this week ahead, you hear guys saying, LeBron's going to trade
Not the Lakers.
Not the Lakers. LeBron's going to trade
You know what, man? It's disheartening because that's what you're hearing. And so,
Anytime there's a beat, Shaq.
Shaq ready for the beat.
Shaq ready for the beat.
What they say?
LeBron going to trade you. LeBron going to trade you.
I mean, for one, I think it sends a black eye to the organization, right? When you have your young players like that who are still playing, they have to come and be professional every day. But to have the opposing crowd and everybody in your business and your business be exposed like that is really not giving you the leverage that you need to stand on as a solid foundation and a solid organization. So now you're going to be in turmoil with the young guys if they come back or not. Or if you trade them, you got to get a whole new team. So I just think that the Lakers probably want to do a better job of keeping things under wraps because that getting out, that can affect their future even if they don't trade, right? If the trade don't go out.
When we heard Kevin Durant make all those comments, it's funny when you hear the media and basketball players. It's 2 different things, even the media, basketball players in the media. You heard the media, oh my God, how could he say that? And every basketball player heard, no, it's not LeBron's fault, but it's like that. It can be toxic, and I think this is what they mean, the toxicity, just the fact that we had this great player around us, and anybody can catch it because of him, and it's not his fault, but maybe just the narrative or the culture of basketball.
Well, you got a polarizing superstar, right? And so he's going to attract all the attention no matter what is said. He's going to take the blunt of the responsibility, him and Magic Johnson. So I think what's happening is, LeBron is guilty by association, and he's ultimately guilty by, being the #1 player in the world.
And you said the memes already started, huh? What you say the meme you saw on your phone was?
I don't remember. See what?
Oh, you don't remember? I saw one on my phone. It was Bron.
Give it to him,
Texas Magic. Talking about, I need all 14. Magic picking up the phone. What up, baby? What do you say?
Is that your shoe?
Bron gonna trade you. Bron gonna trade you. Welcome back. The American Express halftime report. Now, make sure you check out the first ever, that's right, the first ever. It's going to be old school like on the park, televised All-Star Draft on Thursday at 7 p.m. on TNT. Now, team captains, you see them right there, LeBron James and Giannis Antetokounmpo, the Greek Freak. They're gonna pick their squads. Can't wait to check it out. We got the second half of the game coming up next. It's the Auto Trader Tip-Off Show, and welcome back to an 8-game, that's right, an 8-game players-only night here on TNT, but let's just get right back to it. One of the most exciting parts of the NBA game, and it is the dunk contest. And guys, check it out, Miles Bridges.
Ooh.
You know he can get up. I remember the dunk he had against somebody where the whole bench was jumping, but looking for him from Michigan State, we've seen. Yeah, Kimber, you know, that was that dunk.
Oh, don't fall.
Oh, yeah, that was that boy right there. Now, guys, I want to know, is he going to have an advantage because he's from Charlotte? But how about this?
Guy.
Dennis Smith Jr., he's from Fayetteville, North Carolina. We have a lot of local talent here. As a matter of fact, I think he's the only returning dunk contest competitor.
Damn.
Yeah, Smith will get you off both legs, one legs, it doesn't matter. How about this John Collins? He went to... He's from North Carolina, right?
Oh,
He went to Wake Forest. Oh, that's right. He's a Demon Deacon. Yeah. Demon Deacon stand up.
tied it up, ain't
Oh,
it?
yeah. Sleeved up. We got a lot of talent.
You know his new name, Breadman.
You're going to have to show us something. And this guy, Hamidou Diallo. Hey, y'all, I've seen this guy play all season. This young boy, he can get up and rise. And I don't know. I'm just seeing the list. I don't know if I can call my favorites yet. BD.
I'm gonna go with him.
You see? Okay, so Shaq started off. He said he got Diallo. Who you got, BD?
I'm going to go with Dennis Smith Jr.
Dennis Smith Jr.?
You know, I like the little guys.
Okay. What
He
about
rocking that 5, too.
I got Miles Bridges.
Miles Bridges? So I think I'm going to go with Miles Bridges, too. He's from, he's playing for the Hornets. He's there in Charlotte. You just never know. How about the three-point competition? You know Booker
with
give you
Dirk.
buck. Let me ask y'all this first. Who leads the league in three-pointers, and they are on that list? Percentage. Three-point percentage. They're on that list right there.
Buddy Hield.
Nope. Next. Candace.
I would go with, Steph?
Shaq. Come on, Shaq. You got it.
Joe.
Kimber Walker.
Nope.
Joe.
Seth Curry. That's right, Seth Curry.
I had the Curry,
Yeah,
right?
he's getting buckets this year. Seven shooting 48.5%.
Oh, wow.
From
Wouldn't that
behind
be
the
nice?
stripe.
Put me in, coach. Put me in.
Wouldn't that be nice in the finals, him versus his brother?
That would be. Or how about this? This man has only been 17 for 56 this year. Yeah, that's under 30%. But his lifetime, he's hit 1,935 of them threes. Now,
Damn.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's a lot.
Oh, yeah, he's that boy. Now, you guys think he can get past the fifth rack? Can he handle 3 rounds of shooting? He can?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah?
You know, I think he's been sitting out. He well rested. He well rested, so he should have a big performance All-Star weekend.
That's what's so, Candace, so out of that, who you got your money on?
I'm going with one of the Curry brothers because they shoot in that household.
I'm going with one of the Curry brothers because Steph he spent a lot of time there in Charlotte. It's a second home to those guys. Big Shaq.
I'm going with Dirk.
Oh, you're going with Dirk?
Watch out.
But you're the expert, Shaq.
That's right. Could you see that form right
Did
there?
you call it?
No, of course I
Look
called
how he
it.
looked back at Sherman Douglas, though, DD. Now, he
Listen.
gonna hit this. Watch how he looked back at the point guard
No.
that couldn't...
You didn't want to guard me?
No, true story.
Let him know, big fella.
True story. We was up, so I go up to B Hill. I was like, B, let me get a 3. No, we're not gonna do that. So he called to play for Penny. I was supposed to come set the screen. I was like,
You look like you ran up there and stole it. Oh, yeah, you do that. They got to call you and play more. We need to see that one time. Now we're going to go to BD. Oh, you came and stole the ball.
But he
Penny
paid
like he
the
took
foul.
my play. Way to hit it.
Yeah, if you
at
break the
form.
play, you got to make it.
Follow through.
What you say to Sherman Douglas? You ain't say nothing to him?
Yeah. I say, man, you can't guard me.
Oh,
Guard me.
Oh, man. Well, look, now it's time for the
My
all
percentage is 1 for, I think, 22.
Yeah. Well, you got to hit that one. It's time for the Auto Trader Accelerate Your Game. Now, Candace, this guy's one of the most improved players, in my opinion, in the league, and you want to kind of introduce the people to Pascal Siakam.
Well, definitely. I think he's one of the front runners for most improved players this year. From Cameroon. Can you pronounce the first name?
Oh, damn, I was
Siweb?
supposed to do that to you. No, he's
No.
Cameroon.
He's from Cameroon?
Yeah.
Okay. But the thing about Siakam is his energy. Obviously, last year even, just his motor, his energy, his ability to get up and down the floor. He's comfortable around the basket, in the post, is able to face up. He takes his time, and because they've surrounded him with shooters, he's able to play one-on-one. But the thing that he's added to his game this year has been that three-point shot. His minutes have gone up from 21 last year, 31 this year. He's doubled his points per game, and he's really just sparking that Raptors unit. There's been talks about maybe him possibly moving into that second unit, and because they're struggling. But right now, he has the Raptors playing a lot faster than they're normally playing.
Yeah, and I don't know about moving into the second unit, even if it is bad. And speaking of bad second units, because tonight in our first game, we have a matchup between two of the top scorers in the Eastern Conference when we talk about Kawhi Leonard and Embiid. Both of them, percentage points are high behind each other, 27 points a game. But when you look at these two teams, Shaq, and you look at where they are in the standings, and we know that the trade deadline is just in a couple days away, Toronto has had a bench that is not doing much, and Philadelphia has one of the worst benches in the league. Do you think they have to make a trade to win the championship or to get to the championship? Do you like where they are? What's your feeling on it?
I like where Philadelphia is, but sometimes they're two different teams. For example, the other day when they played Golden State, that's the Philadelphia everybody thought that they would see. But right now they're in fifth place. So if they could, muster up that same type of energy, play with that same type of enthusiasm like they did when they beat Golden State, they'll be a good team. But again, I'm looking at two different teams. Sometimes they play together, sometimes they don't. Every now and then you hear stories of, either him or Butler, or, somebody saying they don't know their role. So I like Toronto where they are. But to answer your question about needing a trade, no, the guys are right there. You just have to, put it together.
BD, Candace, this team, when we talk about Philadelphia, they're 23rd in bench points. But you have two guys in the top 10 in paint points when you talk about Ben Simmons, who's 5th, and Joel Embiid 8th. Do you think they have to get a shooter? Are they missing a Ilyasova, or do they need more with the Redick, or do you guys kind of like what they have now?
I think they're missing a playmaker. Another playmaker coming off the bench to get those guys open shots. Philadelphia, they get a lot of paint points, but what's happening is when they go to the bench, nobody's coming in and creating anything for anybody else, so they start stalling, the ball don't move, and then they force up a lot of bad shots. So I think it's a playmaker that they need most.
That's a good point, because most people would just say just a shooter, but it don't matter. You don't even know if they have shooters, because you don't have anybody that can, pity-pat and get to them. Yeah, that's a great point.
No, I would agree with BD. I think that the trade deadline, but also getting people off of waivers. Buyouts, that was a great marker for them last year in finding what they needed to get to the playoffs. But they're one piece away from, and a closer away from making some noise in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, because Toronto, Boston, they're not playing. It's going to be fun. The playoffs have started early, almost even right now as teams try to get in playoff position. But as we go to break, All-Star Week is coming up, and here are your Taco Bell Skill Challenge competitors. Now, I'm going to just let you know off the bat. Oh, I was going to say off the bat. I'm going D Fox off the bat just because he got speed. What you got, B?
Me too. I'm with you, D Fox.
Okay.
I'm going Trae Young.
Trae Young. Trey.
I like Trae Young, and I'm going to go with Luka.
Pick 2, 3. That's what y'all do in L.A. Y'all got 2 baseball teams.
Yeah, we got to have 2.
Teams. Yeah. Come on, man.
Got to have a secondary.
There are 4 teams in the top 10 in both offensive and defensive efficiency at this point in the season. 2 of them meet tonight in Philadelphia when the Raptors take on the 76ers. Jim Jackson is part of the players-only crew tonight in Philly and with us here on Game Time. And Jim, with the deadline coming up Thursday, as you look at these teams, which of them looks like the tougher playoff out as they're currently constructed?
Well, when you have 2 superstars, 3 really, with Philadelphia 76ers with Embiid and Simmons and also Jimmy Butler, that is tough for teams to kind of negotiate against defensively, because as soon as you try to take one thing away, something else opens up. I think the strength of this Philadelphia team is the ability to pass the ball with assists, to get guys involved. But Toronto, keep in mind, this Toronto team, when they started out earlier this season, when they were healthy, you could contend that they were probably one of the better teams in the league. They haven't had the health to consistently play together, but it'll be interesting to see after the All-Star break, really with Lowry, Valanciunas, and he's back, how they kind of join together and kind of take what they did at the beginning of the year when everybody said Toronto could beat Golden State in the 7-game series, to see where they're at. But both are a tough out. They pose different problems each. Shooting is also an issue with the Philadelphia 76ers.
Yeah, I remember how much better they got in that department last year with Bellinelli and Ilyasova coming over.
Yeah.
There's a report out there that the Raptors called Memphis and offered a deal that would bring in Mike Conley and Marc Gasol and send Kyle Lowry and Jonas Valanciunas back to Memphis for a team 22 games over 500. How much sense would that deal make to you?
Well, first of all, you're going to hear all kind of rumors when it comes around, trade time. And I've been involved in a lot of them, so trust me, I know how that feels. But my sources tell me that the call actually came from Memphis to inquire. And if you're the general management staff there, Masai Ujiri, you have to kind of listen to it. But to me, I heard it was initiated on the Memphis side, not so much on the Toronto side. And I think here's the key, too. When that happens, it's very important that, Masai really talk to his guys in regards to what's going on, because Kyle Lowry, he hears this, he hears it. So you want to make sure that he's in tune and he's caught up to date on what's really going on, because you don't want to cause any friction in regards to trade rumors at this particular junction of the season. But again, I heard it came from the Memphis side. And if you're Memphis, I mean, you want to go out there and test the market and see and catch the pulse of these different teams to see what you can get for those two assets.
Jim Jackson, breaking news here on Game Time, or refuting reports, one of the two, I guess. Philly got a taste of the postseason last year, beat Miami, lost to Boston, and in those losses, the execution was terrible. I mean, let's just say it for Philadelphia. How much does Jimmy Butler's presence this year address that particular issue?
Well, from two things. One, it gives you a veteran who's been in playoff games before. I think that's very important, because you think about it, last year, Brett Brown, first time, head coach. Embiid and Simmons, first time. So the actual physical nature and how you had to make adjustments to playoff basketball was something that they haven't seen. And those are your two-star players. So the only way, and I'm sure J. Kidd understands this, the only way you kind of get through that and understand what that is about is to go through it. And they felt that pressure last year from Boston. And this year they're a different team in regards to the maturity level in which they bring to the table. I think when you add a Jimmy Butler, that toughness is different. I think even Brett Brown, when he looks at it and says, what adjustments do I have to make now going into the playoffs when we're in the 7-game series that allow our team to win? Now, keep in mind, Philadelphia, too, still in the market, maybe to add another piece, a veteran presence. Wes Matthews' name has been thrown out there in regards to a buyout scenario. That adds depth to your bench. It adds another veteran player, a guy that can defend, a guy that can shoot. So it's still some things I think that Philly wants to improve on structurally with their team. But going through what they went through last year, I think, is ultimately going to prepare them what they're going to face this year.
Jim Jackson with us, part of the Players Only broadcast tonight on TNT. I saw Kevin McHale walking around back there. We saw Dennis Scott interfering with our shot before we talked to you on the air. Who else are you with tonight?
GA, Greg Anthony.
GA, that makes sense.
The mayor. Yeah, the mayor.
He is sort of the mayor, isn't he? Tell them all we said hello, and we'll see you on the air at the top of the hour.
All right. Thanks a lot, guys.
All right, guys. Jason, I'll go to you on that same question. You saw what happened with Philadelphia at the end of those Boston games last year. They really had nobody who could make a play for anybody else at the end of those games. How important will Butler be in those situations?
Well, they're battle tested now, and they have to go through it. And it's never easy when you go through it. But now that I think with Jimmy Butler on board, Redick is the one that's going to make the shots. I think he's going to have the opportunity to take the shots because those guys are going to be focused. And as Jimmy Jackson said, you can't take everybody away. And Jimmy Butler loves the moment of having the ball down the stretch, and he's not afraid to pass it to a teammate.
I'm kind of interested in the fact that both of these teams have one of the two biggest guys that at the end of the year will be sought after by so many other teams. Okay, and can they both keep them in there, obviously, in their city with their franchise, because so much would depend on them moving forward and continuing to grow if Butler or Kawhi decide, I'm leaving, I don't want to stay.
If you're an opposing GM out there, one of the other 29, is there any way to accurately handicap Kawhi's situation right now?
I don't think so, and I think a lot of that is because to a large degree, it may depend upon how Toronto's postseason goes. The success of this decision to bring Kawhi in is going to be almost entirely based upon how far they go, and making the finals is the goal. And I think if you're Kawhi, you get to the finals with this team, be very difficult to leave and think about at his age, coming off the injury he is, starting over again somewhere else. But if it doesn't go particularly well and the pieces don't seem to fit, maybe he's more likely to leave.
Raptors bench, enough there for you at this point?
I think they have the best bench. I think that's when Kawhi doesn't play, they just plug in another player, he steps up, and they have a pretty good record without him.
They've been really good without him, in fact. In terms of needs for either of these teams, guys?
I think both of them are going to look. Obviously, anytime you can add shooting, it's become so important, particularly when you get to the playoffs where shots are so hard to get, let alone when you get that opening just for that moment, you've got to knock it down.